Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. Good evening. I'm your anchor, Name. Tonight, we bring you a special report on the escalating tensions in the Middle East. The US-Iran crisis continues to escalate, with President Trump's deadline drawing closer. We'll take you through live updates from the front lines of the conflict, as well as reactions from world leaders and key players. Our experts will provide analysis on the implications of this developing story. Let's get straight to it. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, the clock is ticking on a diplomatic deadline that could determine the fate of the Iran conflict. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's news recap. We're coming to you live from our studio as tensions escalate between Israel and Iran. In a tense exchange of attacks, both countries have launched strikes against each other's targets. The clashes started early on Tuesday morning, with Israeli warplanes striking Iranian military sites in the Damascus region. Hours later, Iran fired surface-to-air missiles at an Israeli F-35 fighter jet that was flying over the Golan Heights. The escalation is a response to President Trump's rejection of a proposed ceasefire plan between Israel and Iran. In a statement earlier today, Mr. Trump said the proposal was not good enough and warned that if Iran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz by 8 p.m. Eastern Time, he will destroy Iranian bridges and power plants. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital waterway that controls access to the world's oil supplies, and its closure would have devastating consequences for the global economy. The U.S. has long been concerned about Iran's ability to disrupt maritime trade in the region. This crisis has significant implications for regional stability and global security. The United States, Israel, and other countries are holding their breath as they wait to see how Iran responds to Mr. Trump's ultimatum. We'll continue to bring you updates on this developing story as more information becomes available. For now, we're left with a sense of uncertainty and unease as the world waits for a resolution to this potentially catastrophic conflict. As diplomatic efforts falter, concerns are mounting that a U.S. military strike against Iran is increasingly likely, with President Trump at the helm. The situation in Iran continues to deteriorate as tensions between the U.S. and Iranian governments escalate. Last week, President Trump urged Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route that connects the Middle East to global markets, or face all hell. This move was seen as an ultimatum by many, including lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for oil supplies, with nearly 20% of the world's crude passing through it every day. Iran's seizure of a British oil tanker in July and subsequent attacks on U.S. and Saudi Arabian ships have raised concerns among Republicans about the escalating conflict. Republican lawmakers are growing increasingly wary of Trump's handling of the situation, with some expressing fear that his aggressive rhetoric could draw the U.S. into a broader conflict. Senator Jim Risch of Idaho, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, warned last week that the risk of miscalculation is very high in Iran. The midterms are approaching, and many Republicans are concerned that Trump's actions could alienate voters or embolden his Democratic opponents. Representative Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said that we need to take a step back and think about the long-term consequences of our actions in Iran. With the situation on the ground showing no signs of improvement, it remains to be seen how Trump's strategy will play out in the coming weeks. One thing is certain: the stakes are high, and Republican lawmakers are watching closely as the situation unfolds. As tensions between Iran and its Gulf neighbors continue to escalate, a key official has issued a stark warning about the UAE's stance on the conflict. The United Arab Emirates has expressed skepticism over a proposed ceasefire in Yemen, warning that it may not be enough to bring an end to the conflict with Iran. The UAE's foreign minister, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, stated that Tehran's actions must be addressed beyond just a ceasefire. Sheikh Abdullah made these comments during a meeting with EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell in Brussels on Tuesday. According to reports, Borrell had called for a ceasefire in the conflict between Yemen's Houthi rebels and a Saudi-led coalition. However, Sheikh Abdullah said that this alone would not be enough to resolve the crisis. The UAE has been involved in the conflict in Yemen since 2015, with the goal of restoring its ally, President Abdrabbuh Mansour Hadi, to power. Tehran has supported the Houthi rebels, who have been fighting against the Saudi-led coalition. The conflict has resulted in thousands of deaths and widespread human suffering. Sheikh Abdullah's comments suggest that he believes a ceasefire is necessary but not sufficient to address the underlying issues driving the conflict. He also expressed concerns about Iran's role in the crisis, stating that Tehran's actions must be addressed beyond just a ceasefire. This suggests that the UAE may be pushing for more significant measures to be taken against Iran in order to bring an end to the conflict. The conflict in Yemen has significant implications for regional and global security, with the potential for wider instability and humanitarian crises, if not resolved. The EU's involvement in the crisis highlights its commitment to promoting peace and stability in the region. As tensions mount ahead of a crucial U.S. deadline, we take a closer look at Iran's remarkable response to this critical juncture in its relations with the United States. With just hours left to a deadline given to Iran by U.S. President Donald Trump to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, tensions are running high in Tehran. The deadline was set after a series of attacks on oil tankers and other shipping vessels in the region, which the U.S. blames on Iranian forces. Iran has denied involvement, but has threatened to retaliate against any country that closes the strategic waterway, which is a critical route for global oil supplies. President Trump said Iran would face severe consequences if it didn't comply, including massive strikes on its infrastructure. But in contrast to the tensions, ordinary Iranians have shown remarkable resilience in the face of war and uncertainty. Despite the threat of further strikes, many continue to show support for the regime by attending rallies and demonstrating their loyalty to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Reza Saya, France 24's correspondent in Tehran, reports that the atmosphere is one of cautious optimism among ordinary Iranians. They are aware of the risks, but many are also hopeful that a diplomatic solution can be found. The significance of this standoff cannot be overstated. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical choke point for global oil supplies, and any disruption to its operation could have far-reaching consequences for the economy. For Iran, on the other hand, opening the strait would allow it to maintain access to international markets. As the deadline approaches, both sides are bracing themselves for what could be a catastrophic conflict. U.S. President Donald Trump has escalated tensions with Iran, warning that a diplomatic breakthrough is necessary to avoid a catastrophic conflict in just 48 hours. U.S. President Donald Trump has set a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global supply route, in exchange for a ceasefire and lifting of sanctions. The deadline is set for 2000 hours Washington, D.C. time on Tuesday, with Trump warning that if it's not met, the entire country can be taken out in one night. This threat comes after U.S. forces successfully recovered 2 crew members of an F-15 fighter jet that was downed in southern Iran. Trump made the statement during a news conference alongside Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. However, experts say meaningful progress in any negotiation is unlikely to take place without a ceasefire first. Regional officials familiar with the discussions have also expressed concerns that talks are complicated by Iran's earlier rejection of U.S. demands. The situation has raised concerns about global energy supplies and the potential for conflict. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital route for oil tankers, and any disruption could lead to significant price increases. Iran's economy is heavily reliant on its oil exports, which could be severely impacted if sanctions are not lifted. Trump's warning also comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran have been escalating following successive layers of Iranian leadership being killed in U.S. and Israeli strikes. The international community remains closely watching the situation, with many countries expressing concern about the potential for conflict. Diplomatic efforts continue, but time is running out for a deal to be reached before Trump's deadline expires. The fate of any negotiations hangs in the balance, as the world waits with bated breath to see what will happen next. Good evening. We now turn to a developing crisis that's pushed relations between the U.S. and Iran to the brink of war. U.S. President Donald Trump has set a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global supply route, or face potential military action. The deadline is set for 2000 hours Washington, D.C. time on Tuesday, with Trump warning that if the strait is not reopened by then, the U.S. could launch attacks on Iran's energy and transportation infrastructure in one night. The U.S. has been seeking to reopen the strait after it was closed following a series of Iranian missile strikes targeting Saudi Arabian oil facilities. The closure has had significant economic implications for global energy markets. Trump's comments come days after U.S. forces successfully recovered 2 crew members of an F-15 fighter jet that was downed in southern Iran. However, The outcome of negotiations between the US and Iran remains uncertain, with both sides expressing optimism about the talks, but also a sense of urgency. Iran has rejected proposals for a temporary ceasefire, instead calling for a permanent end to the conflict and the lifting of sanctions. Trump's comments have been widely seen as a warning to Tehran that any failure to negotiate an acceptable deal could result in severe consequences. The situation is complex and sensitive, with regional officials saying that meaningful progress in negotiations is unlikely without a ceasefire first. The US and Iran are engaged in intensive talks, with successive layers of Iranian leadership being killed in US and Israeli strikes in recent days. That's all for today's news recap. We thank you for watching. Stay up to date with the latest global news on Iran by subscribing to our channel. Follow us for continuous coverage of international events, politics, and more. Don't miss out on in-depth analysis and breaking news updates. We'll see you in the next video.